All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my job shop. Welcome to my channel. My name is Keith and I'm your host. I'm taking a look at the handles here before we get ready to drop off or take apart. We're going to try to, I like to pull all the rods out before we drop the apron. And most lathes that I've dealt with, you're able to do that. So I'm looking at the bed parts here. This is basically the plate here on the end here, and they call that lead screw and feed rod support. Okay, I don't know if we'll actually have to pull that out. We have some fittings and pins and stuff like right here in the linkage, and sometimes the rods can be broke loose from the outside. And then we have piece 23, which is rear lead screw box. This piece right here, it may be hollow, and that's how they get the box name out of it. There is a support here for where the rod slides through at this handle, supports this handle, and with two screws right here, 2 1/2-inch screws. So we got a 3/4 inch wrench, and we're going to break that loose, and then we're going to pull the box off the end, and we're going to start there. All right, so let's go ahead and put that down, and I'm going to break those loose. Okay, 1/2-inch bolt, about 1 1/4 inches long. Now this should be a mount that holds the bushing and everything for that arm. So I should be able to like leave this loose, crank the carriage forward. There we go. All right. That's just a forward and reverse feed lever there. All right. So if we get that box off the end, this should slide right off the end of it there, and then we can go ahead and see how its components are held together. And I think it's just basically a collar that's pinned or set screwed onto this arm. Now this arm is a bushing that goes all the way through, because we can see that in the picture. And so let's grab our Allens and we'll go down to that end. All right, I went and got our Naka here. I'm probably gonna have to deal with some paint here. Oh, that was real tight, huh? Okay, let's see how this other one is right here. Oh, that one was just as tight. I'll get a box to start putting these fasteners in, because another section that we're taking apart and I like to keep each section's bolts all on the same. All right. Okay, that rod just kind of like fell down, didn't it? All right, I see that rides in a bushing right here. And I'm just looking for oil. All right, it is kind of hollow in there, a little rusty. This has got some scoring on it. It does have the key, the full length of it, right? This is the feed rod. It looks like it could have bushings in there as well. And I think each one of these has got bronze bushings in it, so we can replace all of those bushings in there to make up the rod diameters that are lost. I don't see an oil spot in it now, but that doesn't mean that it's not covered or filled with paint. All right, we're going to set that down out of the way here, and we're going to go to the other end of this rod. I'm going to go ahead and set that up on here. This does have a pin that's holding this collar on the end, and that would keep this from coming off until we pull that pin. And that lever's all the way up, so we're not gonna get there to drive that pin out of there right now. All right, we're gonna look at the other end because it goes through that mounting support, and then there's a bevel gear and a pin on the other end. But we're gonna take apart the two bolts on that lever, which I think give the fork for the square for the drive. We're going to pull these two 7/16 bolts off of here because this is the little fork assembly right here. I could see a pin in this handle going down through that way there. I don't know if this is an add-on to make it stronger, and they were afraid this handle was going to break like the other one. Because I don't really see this piece in the drawing at all. The rest of the rods, I believe, are retained by this plate because there's pins, like there's a pin going through that bevel gear on the other side. But regardless of where this handle's at here, I'm not getting in line to take it apart. But I can see the inside of it. I can see the inside of this one here. The inside of this lead screw here, the gear and the nuts over here, but this part of the housing will come out with this, and then I can get to those when this comes out this way. This rod here, I loosened this collar off of here. There's a collar that's just locked onto here, and I think that keeps a spot so that that's not slamming into here. And this lever right here has to go in and out, and I'm just over here. But see, that way it won't go any farther than that. So that's a stop travel collar on that rod. So this rod needs to come through here, but the worm is in this little box right here, that 15. The reverse rod worm nut. Now I look down through there and I see an Allen, and I think, there we go, we got into it. I think if we undo this Allen, we're going to find, I think this is 31. Lead screw, no, gear pin, let's see. 14. 14, reverse worm pin. All right, it's loose. Oh, here it comes. All right, that's a pin, and it's got 1/4 threads on that end there, 1/8 inch Allen on there. That's a custom pin. You don't want to lose that because you're just not going to make that one very easy with this Allen on the end of it. All right, so that goes through the actual nut and the shaft. Now, I don't know how well that's fit together. You hope that that slips out with no issue. There's another keeper that's going right here and locking right there, and that keeps that block from rotating. So if we leave that in there and we move our handle now, okay, our handle, okay, it'll slide out here now. Okay, this rod is loose. There's where the pin went through. That whole assembly can stay right in there. Now that I know that's free there, I'm going to pull this, go get wrenches. We're going to pull this off of here, and then I'm going to get the Allen, and we're going to pull this off of here, and we're going to see if all of these will actually back out of here before we try forcing anything. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, there was a nut through that one. I think that one was tapped right into the handle. Tapped and stripped right into the handle. Okay, there's some kind of a pin. And an Allen here. All right, we're gonna need a little air. Okay, boy, they really did work on it. I think this is, yeah. There's an Allen in here. Okay, that's actually moving, and let's see here. Yeah, we can. I might need the wrench here. Next one down. I'm going to say that this was a fabricated piece here, and I mean, this does have a pin right there, and if that pin is knocked out, plus it's a lot cleaner right there. Okay. Dig out some of these Allen sockets here, and then we'll talk about getting these out of here. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4. Probably get our universal back there, and yeah, we get our universal and an extension there, and we should be able to put our sockets right on there. I think that's how we're going to do that. Alright, I got a few tools here that should come in handy. Okay, let's go for the hard one first. Now, I think this might be long enough. Let me see. Oh, I got my hammer right here. I want to put this into that Allen in there. All right, and then I'm gonna tap it. So I know we're seating all the way in there. Now I'm gonna pull that back out because I can't reach in there from there. And we'll put there to there. And that there. There we go. All right. I like that. We're probably gonna just put that one, this one here on the top. Okay. I'm gonna get my ratchet because it looks like that's about the only way we're gonna get. Well, that just barely fits in there, don't it? Okay. We're probably gonna have to like loosen it and then get our wrench out of here. Because I've been there before. You waste all your time getting it out of there and then you got to push it back in. I'm just glad there's a lot of oil all over this thing. All right, and I think this is direct drive. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And one under here. All right, I saw that split just a little tiny bit when I let that last one out of there. All right, I think we're on the right track here. Now, there should be enough force here to go ahead and just crank this back, maybe? No? Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna engage the feed rod. There we go. I like that. Now I can get back here and get to all of these pieces right here. And nothing's broke. I'm actually starting to see the end of this rod. This rod could actually come out freely too. Okay, it dropped down. That's out of my way to go ahead and get back to this gear back here. I have a nut, a W nut and washer there, and then that should come out that front side there. First thing I want is I want this square rod lined up so I can drive the pin out of there. And then we can get that out of here, and then we can actually get a good look at our handle down there that we're going to have to replace. And we'll get a good look at this handle here, and it looks like it's been repaired. Looks like a little bit of welding and stuff, and they weren't sure of their repair, so they made a secondary attachment on there. So it looks like I've got two handles to make for this lathe to be 100%. Okay, I'm going to go get a punch because I can knock that bevel gear right off of this side right here. All right, I put my GoPro up here. Let me see if I got it. Okay. I got it so that you can look in here. And let me grab my punch here. All right, this is the gear on the shaft that we have the two control handles. There's the pin we're going to have to punch out. This is the gear that's on the feed screw, and that's the pin. We'll have to rotate it around to get the other side. And then on the this is the feed rod, and this and this is the lead screw or the threading screw. All right, and there's the W nut and there's the washer. So we're gonna get those spun around to where we'll be able to get to those and reach those to undo those, and we should be able to do that. We'll get a little bit more space here. We got another 1/2 inch of travel, I think, to come out of there, and that should be enough room to get to those. But we're going to start down here at the very beginning. We want to get that shaft out so that we have those 2 handles, and then we can talk about how we're going to recreate those handles and possibly get into starting our 3D centering expedition here. And this is the projects I want to start out with. So let's get that pin out. I don't know how hard this is going to be. I'm going to hold the flashlight here. There we go. Oh. We're lucky that pin doesn't just fall out of there. Alright, here it is. I could have sneezed. You ever sneeze and fart at the same time? Well, that's about how that pin came out of there. I can feel the shaft right there. Maybe a pry bar on the handle on this side might slide that right out. I'm going to give that a shot. Okay, it looks like my theory's working. We gotta we're against the lip of the bed over there, so I'm going to have to brace up the other end over here. Okay, I think we can get back to it now. Okay, it has popped loose, and there's the gear. Actually looks in really good shape there. You don't really need to mark taper pin holes and things like that. You know that gear goes on that shaft. The taper pin actually tells you how that thing mounts on there. Alright, now I think just jiggling this thing and there we go. Okay, now here's the thing. That square shaft is pinned into this handle right there. Alright, there's the pin. Okay. I'm going to go get my scale. That looks like the small end, and that looks like the big end, and that's what you want to make sure when you're tapping out a pin. I'm gonna say that's the small end right there. All right. Okay. I don't know if that's gonna be. I might have to get a bigger punch, but let's see here. I may have to get something behind there, but I'm gonna give it a light tap because everything else has been falling out of here like nothing. There we go. All right, now this handle should come right off of this shaft, and it does. Yeah, somebody repaired this with a nickel rod instead of brazing it. I'm wondering how many different pieces this is here. I think this belongs to this handle here. This is a square insert. And that pin goes through the insert and that square bar. That hole, or that rod over here, how is that pin in there? Or is that part of this? Oh, there's the pin right there. Alright, so there's a pin, and pin square. Which of those really looks like the drawing? Okay, there's the handle. And there's 40. That looks like the square inside the handle. And there's the pin that's going into there. So all four of those parts right there. And the square rod comes through, and it does show that it is just square on this end. Just like that shows it's complete. This shows it's complete. That's threaded on the end, got the gear and the nut and the washer. Okay, but now we can pull that shaft over there, and we can get the other handle off of here as well. Okay, I had to put my wire brush underneath here. This is where that square rod was stuck. Alright, so let's slide this out. Alright, and we can just lay this down here for right now. Alright, there's a Allen screw in there, and another one there. There's like 3 of them in there. And this is the guide underneath the apron itself. And that looks like it's set screwed on there as well. So we're gonna, this might be the one that doesn't have a shaft on it, and that might be the one that does have a shaft on it. That square has has worn over the years, that is for sure. Okay, look how radius those corners are at. Alright, let me see if you can stare down through it right there. Alright, maybe even if I get the flashlight behind here. Oh, maybe maybe that's not a good idea. Okay, maybe that'll work, right? Alright, that gives you a good idea of what it looks like in there. Gives it quite a bit of play. Alright, we got some parts cleaning to do, and then we'll bring you back when I've got the 2 handles cleaned up. And we start deciding how we're going to scan and print these 2 items. Okay, all of these rods came out exactly the way I said it was. This is the W nut and lock washer that I undid over here. they held this gear on, and the gear has a key that's in the shaft, and that engages when you engage with the threading. This is the thread engagement here, so it would come into threading or just regular feed. So this rod is not spinning all the time. The other gear was pinned right there on the end of that one, and that came out, and you saw the other two shafts come out of there. Now I'm actually able to take the shaft support right out of here, and I'm just gonna flip it right around here so that we get a good picture what's going on here. Okay, you got a good view there. Let's bring you in. Okay, that's gonna be close enough. All right, we got a bearing here. That bearing sits in there with the sleeve, and the bearing's held the other side, so the sleeve goes between the two of them. And I'm just going to leave this in here for right now. You have a couple oil tubes that come down to there. These three are bushings. There is a piece of felt in here, and this is the key to all this old machinery, is to have the oil wicking at the right amounts. So there's a good piece of felt that's in there, and this cavity right here gets dripped into and is fed from this tube that is just sticking out from this housing here. And then there's a oil cup, and there's a couple oilers that are up here. The one big main oiler that's on this cover, when we pulled this cover off of here, is what feeds this. Now down in here I see that there's another cavity there, but the felt is missing out of there. So after seeing this felt in here, I kind of know what's expected into the rest of it. Sometimes you'll have pipe cleaners. Pipe cleaners will actually take and siphon oil at a certain pace, and in the old days they used a lot of those. But this is the felt in here, so that this would be filled up with oil, but it would slowly get to these bushings right in here. And all of these bushings are going to be replaced, because we're going to bring all the tolerances to this lathe to as close to original as we possibly can. Okay, I'm as far along with this episode right here and this part of the project, because I'm trying to do this in between all the rest of my work. So I have enough items that I can go clean them, give them a bath, put the fasteners that I have in a new box, and for the assembly that we're disassembling right now. And then in the following episodes, one will be able to look at those handles. I'm not leaving you out on that. We're going to be taking care of that as a side project, because that's going to be 3D printing our first metal components. We're going to be dropping the apron off and the tracer attachment, and then we're going to be lifting off the actual carriage, flipping it over, and looking at the wear on that. And also too, we have the quick change gearbox. Once we have these areas and the steady rest, I mean the tailstock, removed, we're going to be down to the bed and the feet. All right, and then we'll eventually get to separating those as well. And we have a name on a company that possibly we're going to be contacting them, and we're going to see if they can grind the bed for us. All right, until next time, get her done.